My project is on Ellis Island, and more about how immigration built this country. I mean, everyone's an immigrant, but Native American or indigenous people, and that's only 0.9% of the population, so immigration is the biggest part of us history. Before it was an immigration station, Ellis Island was nothing more than a small island in the river below Manhattan. Between 1630 to 1770, it was only 3.3 acres and was known by the Mohegan tribe as Kiosh, or Gull Island. Around 1770, Samuel Ellis came to own it and built a small tavern. It mostly served as a trading post, largely exchanging goods with Europe, Canadian territories, and the West Indies. The area was multicultural. On January 20, 1785, he put the island up for sale in Loudon's New York packet. It remained unsold until in 1794, at which time he willed it to his unborn grandson. In 1808, Governor Daniel D. Tompkins of New York finalized condemnation procedures, purchasing the island from the John A. Berry family and transferring it to the federal government for $10,000 to be used for military defenses. During the War of 1812, a small garrison was stationed on Ellis Island, though they did little. In 1821, the island was named Fort Gibson in honor of Colonel James Gibson. The fort wasn't used much until 1835 when the U.S. Navy used it for powder magazine. By 1841, sole control went to the U.S. Army, though the Navy kept its powder. In 1847, the New York State Commission of Immigration requested to use the island to care for immigrants, but the War Department denied this request. After little use formed the Army, mostly the Navy for power magazines, President Benjamin Harrison signed it into law. By 1891, a Bureau of Immigration was created, and Colonel John B. Weber became Ellis Island's first Commissioner of Immigration. The island using land formed the New York subway. The island was landfilled and expanded to 14 acres in 1896, and later 27.5. Ellis Island's immigration station officially opened on January 1, 1892. That day, 700 immigrants passed through, including 17-year-old Annie Moore from Ireland, the first immigrant to use Ellis Island. With her two younger brothers, people coming in during this time came mostly from southern and eastern Europe, including Jews fleeing Tsarist Russia, Italians escaping poverty, and others from Hungary, Syria, and Armenia. In 1897, a fire destroyed the original building and all records dating back to 1840. Between 1903 to 1909, Ellis Island was rebuilt with fireproof buildings. 2 new islands were added by landfill. A medical center was built with 360 beds, plus infectious disease wards totaling 450 beds. Patients with diseases like measles or diphtheria were either treated or stabilized before being sent home, or in unfortunate situations the morgue. Other structures included dormitories, staff's quarters. The bakery served basic meals, and a power plant provided utilities. From 1900 to 1914, Ellis Island saw its busiest period, processing up to 2,000 people daily. In 1904, a railroad ticket office was added. April 17, 1907, saw a record 11,747 immigrants arrive. Doctors conducted rush 6-second physicals to check for illnesses. Those who passed received landing cards and entered the U.S. Others were detained for medical or legal reasons, with about 20% facing delays or deportation. Anti-immigrant sentiment rose during World War I. 1917, Ellis Island became a military hospital and internment camp. The 1920 Emergency Quota Act limited immigration from each country to 3% of those already in the U.S. The 1924 Immigration Act further favored Northern Europeans and restricted others, especially from Asia and Southern Europe. During the Great Depression, more people left the U.S. than arrived, a first in U.S. history. By 1949, the Coast Guard used Ellis Island for storage and offices. The 1952 Immigration and Naturalization Act liberalized some laws, reducing detainees to fewer than 30. On November 12, 1954, Ellis Island officially closed, after processing over 12 million immigrants. In 1965, President Lyndon Johnson placed Ellis Island under the National Park Service and signed the Immigration Act of 1965, which abolished quotas based on national origin. The Hart-Celler Act of 1965 opened immigration to people from Asia, Africa, and Latin America, changing U.S. demographics. Ellis Island opened to the public in 1976 with tour of the main arrivals building. By 1990, a $156 million restoration was completed, and the Ellis Island Immigration Museum opened. The museum has since seen over 30 million visitors, many tracing their ancestors' paths through its halls. In 1998, the Supreme Court ruled that New Jersey-controlled parts of Ellis Island expanded by landfill, while New York retained jurisdiction over the original 3.5 acres. From 1965 to 2000, immigration from Mexico, the Philippines, India, and Vietnam grew significantly. Today, Ellis Island remains a symbol of hope and struggle. Over 40% of Americans, about 129 million people, can trace their ancestry to immigrants who came through its gates.